The next day, my phone blew up, my publicist, my manager, literally everyone thought I went crazy. Everyone thought, did you join a cult?
Welcome back to the Aubservation. This is our first Zoom episode ever, and we would only do it pretty much for one person and one person only, and that's Phan. She is a creator, entrepreneur. She's the founder of ipsy and M Cosmetics, and one of the first beauty bloggers that were out there. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the Aubservation, Michelle.
Thank you for having me. This is so cool. And thank you so much for making this happen and everything.
Yeah, I have been wanting to do this interview for a long time, and we've been talking about it. And, most people don't know that you're a huge proponent of Bitcoin. And it's now kind of coming out in a few articles, which is kind of interesting. And we'll get to that in a second. But first, I want to shout out to our sponsors who do offer Bitcoin, Cash App. The Aubservation is brought to you by Cash App. When personal finance meets your funds and the stuff that matters, that's money, that's Cash App. Download the app, buy Bitcoin, not financial advice. But so I've seen some pretty crazy claims on the Bitcoin side of that, like that you've joined a cult, that Bitcoin is like a big cult. I kind of want to hear just, your origin story to Bitcoin.
Yeah. So I'd say I think being like a child of immigrant parents, I cared a lot about like how do I help my parents. I think a lot of children of immigrants can relate to this, where we're born and we see like our parents, they're struggling, and we literally need to help them. We can only help them in a way. And that pressure growing up, I think it actually inspired me to really think about like how can I have a more entrepreneurial approach to the world. Definitely like my fight or flight was more activated as a kid, like survival instincts, like damn, I need to make money, I need to hustle, I need to build something, I need to create generational wealth for my family because they don't have it for me here in this country. So I think early on I was always really interested about like money in a way, and also like what is money too. So it wasn't until I would say like at the height of, no, I wouldn't say at the height, but like when I was rising on YouTube and I was doing really well with AdSense, with brand deals, I was making like easily over like 6 figures a year, like really good money. This is me basically not making any money to then boom, like holy crap, like this is life-changing money. And I had a financial management person just helping me with like my taxes and everything, and she was recommending, Michelle, have you ever thought about like putting money in like the stock market and stuff? I'm like, actually, let me go down this rabbit hole and just learn about like stock market and also like gold, the precious metal market, like all these different markets, right? And then that's how I stumbled upon Bitcoin along the way. And I also have like a lot of really great friends and advisors in my life, personal advisors, people close to me who are contrarians in a way. They're very much on, like, they're really into like fringe topics, and they're always just looking on the horizon. So if we were a pirate ship, they would be on the top part, just like looking out with like, just seeing like what's happening out there. And my close contrarian friend was telling me all about Bitcoin. He educated me everything about Bitcoin, just downloaded me. And it was just like, it just clicked to me because I guess maybe it's an Asian thing, but when we're young, when we have birthdays and stuff, you give gold to the child, like a gold bracelet or something that symbolizes gold, because in our culture, like gold was always that precious commodity that would help us later down the line if something happened to money or something. We always had gold, and we could always like put bread on the table or rice on the table, because I'm Asian. Yes. And so I think like just me having this mindset, like, ooh, the US dollar, I don't know about this, but definitely like, gold and like having other assets, that's super important, right? It was this kind of like fight or flight instinctual survival mode that was installed in me at a young age. And so Bitcoin made so much more sense because it was like, damn, I don't have to carry this gold with me. Because if you buy a lot of gold, I don't know if you've held a lot of gold, it's really heavy. Yeah. And to transport this stuff, like, it's really hard. Like I recently saw on the news, like someone was smuggling gold up their butt or something like that. Like it's insane. Like I'm not about that. And like, what if I lose it? And so what was so interesting to me was, wow, this is money that I could take anywhere with me on the planet. It's in my head as long as I know the key phrases and everything.
Yeah.
And I could pass it down to the next generation just like gold.
Yeah.
You know, so it's almost like it's just a very interesting like beyond metaphysical form of money. It's actually the best form of money. And so I was just red pilling myself along the way. The more I got deeper in it, it's like, holy shit, like people need to know about this.
Yeah.
And so that was really introduction to Bitcoin. And so after that, it was really just like the community, there was really no community for me because I was a YouTuber.
And what year was that? What year was that your friend got you in?
This was early. This was like 2012, I think.
Yeah.
2012,
Wow.
really early, and just like...
How do you stay so early? You're 2007 for YouTube, and like you're, you know, early Bitcoin. I feel like you have such an interesting story with how, you know, you're first and foremost an artist that, you know, became a business person. And I think that's so interesting in how you stay open. Like you have really great friends, or what kind of shows you and gives you the conviction to kind of move to that next thing? Because I think that's one of the most fascinating things about your journey and your rise. Like I think it's easy when you look back today and you see TikTokers, like, and I'd love to get your opinion on this. You see TikTokers who blow up seemingly overnight, but you were in the YouTube era of like, YouTube was fun. People who were there were wanting to be creators before being a creator was the cool thing to do. Now everyone wants to be a creator. You were already doing that because that's what you were passionate about. Like, does that ever like blow your mind how early you are into things?
Well, I think at a young age, this was something that, looking back now in hindsight, it all makes sense. And I'm also into astrology, so I'm like, holy crap, I'm in Aries. Aries is known for being the first, like pioneers, trailblazers, so very much aligned with me. But outside of astrology at a young age, I always just liked being the first. I was always the bravest. I was always the one like that wanted to be the line leader, you know, that wanted to like step ahead. I wanted to finish all of my tests. Like I wanted to be the first to finish like my multiplication test and everything. Like I loved just being fast. And also I think what drives me really is my curiosity. I'm constantly like, I'm just curious. I have like a mind like a child. I want to understand, and I have all these questions, and I like learning a lot. Like I think it's really important as a founder, as someone who innovates, like it's so important to have like a childlike curiosity, but being able to make decisions like an adult though, that's really important. And that comes with experience, of course, but I'd say that that's one of the main reasons why I'm constantly like, in a way, like pioneering, or I'm at the front lines of all these new innovations, because I'm just curious. I love innovation. I also love history, and I love seeing like moments in history where like someone invented the printing press, and that changed the entire world. Like people were like, the access to information was more accessible for the middle class, because books back then, when they were made by hand, it was only for the bourgeoisies and the people who were rich or scholars. And with the internet, like in my opinion, the internet was this innovation of information. Now you have access to information in real time on this device. And in my opinion, like Bitcoin was that next innovation that we really needed, because we had the internet. Internet's incredible. It's decentralized. I mean, it was before, but maybe we'll get back there again. But it was a place that it almost felt like a new nation, like this digital nation where you're connected to the world, but we didn't have money with it. Like back then, I remember like Web 1 era, like if you wanted to buy stuff online, it was shady. Like you had to put your credit card, and stuff got stolen. Like it was just like, there was, you know, we didn't have we needed, in a way, like we needed the PayPal, we needed these third-party companies to be the middle person, the middle layer for the money transaction. But it just like didn't make sense too. If you think about it now, like the settlement layers for credit card transactions, for all of these like mainstream way of paying for things, it's so long. If you think about it, like I could pay something with my credit card, but it doesn't settle for like, what is it, like 90 days or something, or maybe even longer, which is insane if you think about it, right? And so when I saw Bitcoin and how like, wow, this is like the fastest settlement layer, and I could transact with anyone around the world. They don't need to have the same bank as me. like that was game changer. But it's just right now we're in this weird adoption growth phase where we have like Web 2, but it's not fully integrated yet into like Bitcoin layer. So we're just in this really interesting stage right now where we need people to develop these tools where we can actually use Bitcoin. Like we can we can use it for micropayments, for securities. I mean, there's so many use cases for it, right? And I think that's actually what is needed now in this space that we're in, where we need innovators to start building on top of this.
I think you're always a student of life for sure. Like you almost have these rebirths. I feel like it's really interesting following your career. And with Bitcoin, it's funny because like Web3 came around and everyone was like Web3, NFTs, all these other things like altcoins. There's so many things out there. How did you learn about all these other things and decide just Bitcoin? Because it's like, if we look at the market now and we see kind of this explosion of FTX and Celsius and a lot of other centralized like banks of sorts that were supposed to be decentralized but were actually centralized, like that's super upsetting for a lot of people. And it's hard to even give guidance. Like people are texting me every day. I'm sure they text you as well of like, what's going on? What can I trust? Did you do research into other things and were like, nah? Or like, what was your decision process? Because the last bull market was pretty wild, It was. I think it was probably one of the craziest for sure. Hopefully one of the ones that can finally like wake people up in a way, because I think for me, like I avoided a lot of these, like I call them word salads. My contrarian friend actually coined the term word salads, where it's like decentralize this or blockchain on this, and they just come up with all these like, they just take words and they throw them together like a salad and they just market it to people, and they play on the fear. They play on the fear of people like, oh, this might be the new Apple, this might be the new Google, this might be the new thing, I need to invest, I need to throw money into it. And it's playing on the fear that they might miss out, and so they don't have time to research and study. They don't have to, it takes time to really understand what this space is. What is crypto? What is that technology? What is Bitcoin then? What is the protocol? Like, what is the difference between crypto and Bitcoin? And that's why, like for me, like when I started to see crypto was on the rise, and I think like something I really care about is I've always cared about making content and sharing things that work. Like skincare is great. This is my favorite makeup product. In this case, with when it comes to just building generational wealth, like this is a great thing to look into, Bitcoin. And Bitcoin isn't a security. There's no CEO, there's no team of developers, there's no like Delaware corporation. It's we don't even know who Satoshi or what Satoshi is, right? Yeah. And so all these other crypto projects, you have a CEO, it's an LLC or whatever it is, it's an established company. And so technically a lot of these crypto projects are unregulated securities, and this is something that I've been talking about for years. Like, just be careful. Like, I think people should have they have free will to choose where they want to put their money. But always, I'm a believer in always researching what it is, and understand that these are unregulated securities. And now we're seeing the SEC is coming out, and now they're starting to crack down on this, but it's going to take years, And so look at Mt. Gox, like people still don't have their money from there. All of their Bitcoin, all of their crypto is still locked up on Mt. Gox. And it's like, I don't know how long it's going to take until people get their money back from FTX. And it's really unfortunate, but in a way I believe like that's actually how we learn. Like sometimes we have to learn by getting our hand burnt. Yeah. That's how we learn, because I know so many people in the Bitcoin space, like the Bitcoin maxis, they've been preaching, and they have to be toxic because when you're in a jungle and everything else is venomous, you have to be just as venomous, to like protect yourself. It's a defense mechanism. And so what was interesting about this last crash was a lot of people who were in crypto who were not really, they were just riding off of like all these other projects, NFTs. They heard about Bitcoin, but it's like, oh, it's like the granddad, slow, whatever. It's not interesting. Now it's like, holy shit, like they've been orange pilled because they finally understood like, damn, it's true. Like not your keys, not your coin. Like I need to take the stuff off the exchange and put it on a wallet or something. I need to store it, or I need to be careful about
what projects I'm going to invest in, because not all of these crypto projects are necessarily bad. I just see them as like, it's just a tech company, but it's just not regulated. So once they're regulated, once there's a good product, I think that's great, because not everything will need Bitcoin either. You know, like so many people are like, no, we need NFTs on Bitcoin. Like, no, Bitcoin is just money. You don't need, like, I don't want a fucking JPEG. I don't want a JPEG built on top of the layer of Bitcoin. That's not what it's meant for. Like, it's fine if it's on Ethereum or Solana. It's totally fine. It's just, they just need to be regulated. Like, any company like Google.
Totally.
So that's really where my thesis is, because I know I also have friends who are really hardcore Bitcoin maxi, and they literally hate anyone that touches that space. But it's like, dude, these are still people. They have feelings. They're just misguided. They're misguided and misled. They're not bad people. I think you can catch more bees with honey, you know? Yeah. And so that's, I try my best to not staying neutral, but be understanding. But absolutely, I'm a Bitcoin maxi. Hell yeah. Like, there's Bitcoin and everything else that isn't Bitcoin. It's just unregulated securities that uses blockchain or crypto technology. And sometimes they don't. They just say it. They don't even use it.
Totally. It's super tough, because I do see a path for, you know, potentially digital collectibles of like NFTs,
100%.
and it's interesting for loyalty, but I feel like it's such a different thing than Bitcoin. And people are talking about, I don't know if did you get involved in any NFTs? Did you experiment? Did you think of doing anything?
I have so many friends, who launched tokens, and I gotta be supportive, but I also I'm not gonna promote this because and there was a few NFTs I did promote just to help out my friends, right? But I had all these crazy disclaimers like this is unregulated security, this is not Bitcoin. If you're buying this, it's for the art. But don't think this, you know, I would not recommend flipping things. Like I had so many layers of disclaimers. And so it's hard for me, because it's really hard for me to navigate through this space, because 8 years ago, no one gave a shit about crypto, right? There's no one. So there was no community. But then I think I would say last year was really when we finally started seeing mainstream people, not developers, not miners, mainstream people who got into crypto because of NFTs, right? And so it was hard for me to navigate, because everyone, of course, wanted me to promote their project. And it's I want to be supportive as a friend, right? Because they're awesome people, but it's I also don't think this is not a real company, it's not. So no. I have to promote it hey, you might, if you're buying this NFT, you're just buying a JPEG. You're buying a JPEG, and you're supporting, maybe you're supporting the people, because I don't even know if the artist got paid, honestly, so it's just so many disclaimers, and I'm just glad that whatever that was is done. Holy shit, out. I'm just glad it's done. It's just insane when you see just the trading volumes of NFTs. It dropped what was it, 90%? Yeah. Something insane like that, right?
Yeah, it's insane. Most of these projects are all of it's gone. There's the floor price is nothing for these projects. So, but that's just so hard too, because you're trying to teach. I mean, you've invested in Lolly, so you obviously talked to your audience about Bitcoin, but you've been doing that for a while. And do you find it hard to still it drives me nuts on the educational side of how do I tell you that Bitcoin is okay? And even if you do say Bitcoin is okay, it's almost another layer of teaching someone that you can't leave your Bitcoin on an exchange. So it's while Bitcoin is safe and you're not going to get rugged by an FTX token or whatever, you still need to not keep your Bitcoin on an exchange. And I think because people have had banks for so long and they've trusted banks their whole lives, they don't understand the idea of this individual. Do you think that's going to take a long time to shift into?
It is.
I'm the owner. I'm responsible. I just don't know.
People aren't even responsible with their own life, honestly. They're honestly, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. It's just, this is just my own personal experience and what I see from other people. There are people who make poor life decisions, and they're almost like grown-up kids without parents. There's a lot of people with guidance, and so I think that's actually one of the hardest things about Bitcoin that we need to address as the community of Bitcoin is self-custodian. That's not easy. That's really hard. Some people literally lose their stuff, or they forget, or maybe there's a fire and they didn't have the right protection. And these are tech savvy people. You know, so imagine like my mom would have no idea. Like it's already hard enough for her with like normal banks. Already it's going to be so hard with Bitcoin. So this is just my own thought process, because I was really thinking about this. And then I think like what we're going to see in the future will be a rise of people who are honest, noble, trustworthy, tech savvy. They're going to be in charge of basically being a custodian of your wallet. Almost like the new banks will be these people who you literally trust them. They're like a family friend that you trust with your life type of people. Because I know so many of these people who like they would never steal. You know, you've met these people too, right? Just good people. They cannot be corrupted by money. It's like the Ned Starks, you know, like I see in the future like more of these like Ned Stark, noble, honorable people, like knights and ladies, you know, of the chivalry past, where they're noble, they're kind, they're moral, they're not going to steal, and they're going to, because they're tech savvy, they're going to help with trust, like with the custodian part, just like keeping your wallet safe and everything. Because some people can't even trust themselves, but we can't trust obviously I don't really trust exchanges, to be honest with you, not because well, I mean, like, obviously, look at FTX. Look at Mt. Gox. Like, history repeats itself. Like, I know a few founders of the exchanges. They're nice people, but when you become such a big company, you literally have no control anymore. And, like, I'm seeing, like, a lot of these mainstream exchanges, like, my friends are having a hard time getting their Bitcoin out, you know? They're limiting it. They have to fill out all this paperwork and everything. Like, what if there's a moment where it's like you have like just like what happened in Greece, you know, where people did a bank run. And I think recently, I don't know where it is, but some guy was shooting at the bank teller, like the window, to just get his money out because they've been waiting for like days to get their money out. So it's like shit, dude. So I feel like with every new innovation and new technological advance, there's always going to be new problems. And so it's always going to be this ebb and flow of new innovation. Now, how do we protect it? How do we protect ourselves? And then again, new innovation. How do we protect ourselves? And the cool thing about Bitcoin, though, is, you know, I have friends who are like, well, what about quantum computing? What happens if quantum computing exists and then Bitcoin's useless? I'm like, yeah, but like, you know, when quantum computing comes, well, two things. When quantum computing really actually comes, like the real one, we might not even need money anymore, right? Because everything will change. Like literally, like it changes the entire world. Like we become an interplanetary species. And two, if quantum computing becomes a thing, what makes you think that Bitcoiners are not going to use it to defend itself? They're going to use quantum computing to defend the network. Obviously. It's like
people always bring that up too. It's a very interesting question. I feel like your second answer is a lot of the time what Bitcoiners say. They're like, obviously we'd use this.
100%.
So, I mean, that's also something we don't know and when or if it will come. So this is the best form of money I feel that we have at the moment. But
absolutely.
When you're
how long has the US dollar been around? Like 100 years, right? The current
exactly.
one that we have, right? It's 100 years, and I don't know how much longer it's going to last.
Exactly.
I don't know.
It will go away at some point. I'm sure they'll replace it with like some central bank digital currency, which will just be even worse for everybody. But I want to ask you about like Rolling Stone, YouTube. There's a bunch of creators who, it actually was kind of funny. I was doing research on just how people were talking about Bitcoin. And there was a creator that said that you were shilling different types of Bitcoin, which I was like, what is she talking about, number one? Because it was like, or is she talking about forked Bitcoin? Like Bitcoin Cash is like a joke, but she's clearly not.
No.
She just doesn't. She's talking about crypto. I think she doesn't know. And neither does Rolling Stone. Yeah. And it's interesting to me that you have gotten so much backlash, because I see a lot of, and I'm not trying to be sexist about it, but I see a lot of male entrepreneurs, creators that promote Bitcoin, talk about finance, and they seem to not get the backlash that I feel like you've gotten for just talking about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? How do you feel about people saying that like you've joined a cult because of Bitcoin?
I think a lot of them are just projecting their own personal shit that they're dealing with. their own belief system that they're dealing with, their own self-limiting belief system that they believe in onto me, because they have no context. Like the whole cult thing, what Rolling Stones wrote about, it was actually completely taken out of context. I posted these Instagram stories because I was doing this 1 week long meditation retreat that was hosted by Joe Dispenza. I was in a room at the Marriott Hotel, so it's not a weird cult thing. This is like at the Marriott Hotel, you know, like we're in the auditorium, 2,000 people, all walks of life, like boomers, millennials, Gen Xers, Gen Zers, all religion. I like Jewish people, Christian people, Sikh people, like Buddhist people, like everyone was there, you know? And we all just came there because we wanted to learn this. We wanted to do the meditation that Joe Dispenza teaches. And what this meditation really is, it's really the chakra meditation. You're basically activating essentially all the different energy points in your system, like the 7 chakras. And so within these 7 chakras, you have also you essentially have also like your whole system of hormones are attached to it too. So that's what it really is you're basically resetting your body. You're pushing this energy, this chi. So I'm Asian, so like we grew up knowing, we believe in this, like chi. Like we believe there's this electricity, this energy force that's running through your body. And if with the right meditation technique and the right way of channeling this energy up and breathing too, the breath work is really important because your body is a machine. You can literally activate certain chemical reactions in your body that will release and create certain altered states of consciousness. And it happens, it's real. Like I've done psychedelics. I literally, when I do these meditations, it's like I'm microdosing on mushrooms. It's like I'm microdosing on ayahuasca. It's literally the same feeling. And so going back to this meditation retreat, it's crazy what happens there. Like you could like do some research, like look up Joe Dispenza meditation, his week-long retreats. A lot of people will give their reviews on it. It's amazing. Like you have these people who are just learning how to meditate and breath work, and crazy epiphanies will happen. A lot of them who come in with illnesses, they leave without their illnesses. The illnesses are no longer there. So what I experienced was there is a person who came. This person was in a wheelchair, and they had arthritis. So they weren't paralyzed, but they had arthritis all over their legs, and it was painful, unbearably painful to stand. So his 4th day in, he was finally able to stand and walk a little. Amazing. And it was amazing, right? But I did so I'm Christian. I was praying to God. I was praying to Jesus. I was like, Jesus, please, if you can show me a man or show me someone who came into this retreat who was in a wheelchair and now they're walking, I will share this story. Because I didn't say anything. Like I keep this shit really, it's personal, spiritual stuff. Like I'm not gonna be like, yo, like I'm Christian, like be like this, be like that, right? Like this is personal. Like everyone's spiritual journey is so personal. As long as it brings you peace, that's great, right? So then like the moment when I was done with that prayer, I sat back down and there's this guy that looked like Santa Claus. He came walking up. He was ushered by the people. They were like, hey, can this gentleman sit next to you? He wants to move. He wanted to sit with new people. I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. So he sat between me and my friend. And after like Joe did his presentation, I looked over at my friend and she had tears streaming down her face. I was like, yo, you okay, dude? She's like, Michelle, you need to listen to his story. Like he was in a wheelchair and that's why he came over here because he's able to walk now, and he wanted to meet new people because he didn't want to sit with in the row. He didn't want to sit in that, and there's like designated rows at these retreats where it's only for people who can't move or who are in wheelchairs because it's easier to because they have help that can bring them in and out. And so he was there all week, but he wanted to meet new people. So they literally, right when I said that prayer, literally he sat down next to me. Wow. And he was telling me oh my gosh, my pain is 70% gone. And so that whole day we spent time with him. We were just loving him, just giving him love, giving him just good energy, That night, his pain was completely gone. He was able to dance and walk. He wasn't able to do that for years. And so, of course, it's 2 a.m. I'm excited. I'm in a euphoric high. I go on Instagram, like, oh shit, I need to post this, right? I promised, I made my promise to God. So boom, boom, boom. I totally forgot that I had, when you're in these altered states of consciousness, your ego, like you're not so attached to your ego, you're one with everyone, if that makes sense. Like you're just like living, like I didn't care about my followers. I totally forgot, like, oh, I'm Michelle Phan. I have like millions of people who like follow me. I just I made my stories. I was so excited. I made my stories as if I was writing it to my friends. So it really felt like I was sharing this to my close friends, right? And I posted it, went to sleep. The next day, my phone blew up, my publicist, my manager, literally everyone thought I went crazy. Everyone thought, did you join a cult? And I'm just like, yo, I really, honestly, low-key, I felt like I red pilled hard and I left the Matrix. And that's what it felt like to me. And I was just telling them like, no, bro, like I'm good. Like what? And they're just like, you sure, Michelle? Like yada. But once they heard me speak and I just said everything to them, they're like, okay, yeah, you do sound normal. Okay, we just want to make sure. Well, basically, everyone thinks you're crazy and that I joined a cult. So it was partially my fault for not giving context, because whenever I share this with people one-on-one, they're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so he had arthritis in his legs. He wasn't like paralyzed. But here's another crazy kicker. There's people who are on these retreats, they're paralyzed and they're able to walk after. I wasn't there to witness that, but I witnessed what I witnessed. But there's crazy stories of people who go to the Joe Dispenza retreats. They have stage 4 cancer, and like after doing a lot of the work and everything, like it's gone, you know? So I can't explain that. Like, and what's really cool about their retreat is they literally want skeptics, please come and study this. Like here's the data. Like, can you study this? Can you explain what's happening to the body, to these people? And so like that was why the whole cult thing was trending and everything, which was really unfortunate. And then of course with the Bitcoin thing, because I don't know why they think it's correlated, but like me somehow talking about Bitcoin also makes it worse too. So that's when it's like, no, a lot of these people are just really blue pilled. They really are in the Matrix. And I'm not saying it in a derogatory, negative way. It's just their belief system is based on literally what they're being told by the mainstream media, by basically the establishments. They really believe in it. And I've always been a person who, I was always a free thinker. I mean, that's why I went on YouTube back in 2006. I was like, this is going to be the future TV. That's why I went into Bitcoin. That's why I'm also, like, I'm constantly just thinking for myself. And I think we all share a different journey. Some people really hardcore believe in the belief system, and others are more like contrarians like myself, and we are more fringe thinkers. So.
Dude, I love that though. I feel like you almost find you automatically connect with people that are on the fringe because the conversations are more exciting. They just light something up in you. I feel like the chemistry, the like magnetism, whatever it is that brings you to that person, you can feel it. You know when someone's trying to, that doesn't want to subscribe to this. I kind of think most people are numbed out. Like these retreats, like I'm also a Christian. I just went to Hawaii, actually did like this energy healing for the first time, working on the chakras. And I was like, dude, people just don't even try. Like they don't even try to self-improve because you do get energy stuck in your body. And like, there's certain things that you like need to do. And I'm super open to like Eastern ways of healing. I think it's so interesting. And I don't know. I think people just they hit a point in their life or they're not open, and all of a sudden anything.
They're not curious.
They're not curious. But then it becomes a threat, right? It's interesting. It all becomes a threat, right? You've joined a cult. The finance has become a threat. Like the way, you know.
It's people are so attached to their belief system that they have cognitive dissonance when they feel like their reality is being challenged. That's what it is. And that's why like in Buddhism, they talk about attachment is suffering. It's so true. Like how many people are so attached to past relationships and they just want to go back to their ex, or they're just so attached to like previous friendships that were at the highest, but they stay in these toxic relationships because they are so attached to what it was good. And like attachment, like so many people are so attached to even like self-deprecating, self-limiting belief system because of what their parents or society or just horrible traumas they went through as a child, and they really believe that they are like this because of that. And so much fear. It's a lot of fear. It's actually like something I learned after that retreat, and I started to implement, and I was teaching this in my creator course, was ask yourself, how many decisions do you make a day and how many of them come from fear or love? And how many of them that come from fear, what would it look like if you switched it over to love, if the decision was made from love? Like, how many of us have said yes to like going out with friends because we felt guilty, but we didn't like hanging out with them, but we felt bad, totally. Right? Yeah. Or like, how many of us have done favors because of guilt or shame or obligation? And it's always from fear, and it's not from love. And what would it look like if it was switched over to love? And it would be, I mean, the change is astonishing. It would be mostly like, I would start saying no. I would start drawing my boundaries, lovingly saying no. Like, hey, like, energetically, I'm in a hermit mode. I don't want to go out, you know? Like, how important is it for us to say no to protect our yeses, you know?
Totally.
Like, so like, I think like that was a really big game changer for me, was damn, all these decisions I've been making in life, it was really from fear. It wasn't really from love. And so being mindful and being aware about it, I think is already so powerful already.
So cool. Let's talk about your creator program. So you've created a program for digital creators, and one of the things you are doing is talking about burnout, because you experienced that personally when you left YouTube. And was that because you were saying yes to too many things? Like, what was the 100%. Reason for you that, and then how are you kind of teaching people to deal with it now from your experience?
I think three things I can think of why I burnt out. One was I was operating from a scarcity mindset. I was literally thinking, I need to make this content. I need to catch the algorithm. I need to optimize for the algorithm. I need to say yes to all of these opportunities because I might not ever get them again. So scarcity mindset was one that really pushed me over the edge. I think two was because I didn't truly love myself, as in like not narcissistic loving myself, but like honoring myself, loving my body, that my body keeps me alive so I could be here to experience this, you know? Yeah. Not honoring and truly loving myself led me to feel unworthy, even though like most people wouldn't think that. Like, what, Michelle? Like, look at your YouTube channel. You're teaching people makeup. It's like, yeah, but I did not love myself. Like, I was just pretending. I was just projecting. I was literally creating this online persona that I wanted to be, but when the camera turned off, I was not that person. I was really sad. I did not love myself. I was feeling very unworthy. I mean, I was molested as a child. You know, when you grow up with sexual trauma as a child, it will completely change you. You literally will feel so unworthy and just unloved, and you are seeking to fill that void. And so I was filling that void with all these other things that were not helping me. They were not elevating me in any way. They were just placeholders, you know? And so because of that, because of the unworthiness and all of that, I received like so much hate comment from so many people online. And I think that's the thing that's interesting about women is I don't know why, it's something I'm trying to understand, but I think I'm understanding it more and more, but like, women receive a lot of hate comments. Like, why is it that insecure women, when they see another woman who's like living her best life, they have to ask themselves like, oh, maybe they're like a gold digger, or maybe they're like doing surgeries, or like, you know, oh, she has fake boobs, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I'm like using that voice because that's how they sound to me in my head, right? Literally, they sound like that. And I'm like, damn, man. Like, so whenever I was doing so well, I received so much hate, you know, and looking back in hindsight, it's like, no, a lot of them were scared. And a lot of them were feeling unworthy too. And when they see someone's living their best life, they have to justify it and be like projecting what they hate about themselves onto me. But back then I didn't know that. I literally thought like, oh my gosh, I need to make them like me because I don't like myself. So I need to do this, say this. And it was literally driving me crazy. Like I was going insane trying to make these people who did not like me, who chose to misunderstand me from the beginning, like me by adopting all of these different things that were not me. Like, I really wanted to go hardcore with astrology. I love astrology, but then I got so much hate because I had fans who were hardcore Christian, like, Michelle, like, that's like Satan's work, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, dude, they don't even know like some of the first tarot cards of Marseille was made by Mary Magdalene. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I learned this all later. Like, how do you think the three wise men found Jesus? They followed the stars. Like, come on. Like, you know? So, but I didn't know that back then. You know, I'm very intuitively led. Like intuitively, I was like, no, these tarot cards are dope. Like, and it's not about telling your future. That's not what they are. Tarot cards, the real tarot card, and it comes from ancient Egypt, which comes from Atlantis, right? And we're going way back now.
Yeah.
These were anaglyphic tools that were used to help us speak to our higher self, to our intuition, because intuition doesn't understand language. It understands colors and symbols. And these symbols, they've been around since the dawn of man, honestly. And it was a way for us to be in touch with our intuition, because it's our intuition that is more in touch with God, right? The higher, whatever you call God's source. The thing is, the moment we label what God is, we already attach an ego to it, because real God is nameless and formless, you know?
Yeah.
And so like a tarot card is such a wonderful way to just be in tune with your intuition. That's what it really is. But like I received so much hate, and I think it just got to a point where I was burnt out because of that, because of scarcity mindset, because I lacked true self-love for myself. And I'd say the last one was just I wasn't sleeping. You know, I had this mentality of like, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And I acquired so much sleep debt because I was not sleeping. I was constantly creating, posting, commenting back, engaging, you know, jumping on planes, doing business deal. Like I was trying to live this fast ass lifestyle because that's what I thought what life was about. Like I need to hustle and be at this, make this amount of money and be like this label, like CEO, whatever. I didn't even know what a CEO was, but I'm like, I need to be CEO of 3 companies because that's what shows like I'm a badass, you know, because I didn't love myself. But later, now that I'm like much more experienced, it's like, I would not want to be a CEO. Like that is not for me. Like I wouldn't be good at that, but I'm good at this. I'm really good at that. So I think like people in their 20s, because I was in my 20s, you kind of have to go through that. It's like a rite of passage.
You do.
Like your 20s, especially women, like we got to go through so much bullshit to finally be like, yo, that was bullshit.
Dude,
I'm unsubscribing to that.
Bro, the whole like girl boss mentality that was ingrained into millennials, I think is going to be the biggest like almost mistake that we tried to tell ourselves that we had to be these women. And I did the New York lifestyle where you literally run yourself into the ground, but at the sacrifice of your own soul. Like the sacrifice of your own soul, but nobody tells you that. No one tells you that New York is a really, if you don't protect yourself, very evil. And once you climb that success ladder and in LA, I mean, you did it in LA and stuff, you see stuff and you're like, whoa, this energy is bad. Something here is wrong. I don't like this. But no one tells you that because we were just fed so hard. Like,
well, think about it like this. Yeah. We grew up with, I mean, I didn't watch Sex and the City because I didn't have cable as a kid. But like so many women I knew, they watched just subscribed to that lifestyle. And it's like, dude, when you look at what I was watching it like maybe last year, just one episode, I'm like, what is this? You know, I want to know what this is, right? What did I miss out on? It's like, dude, there's no way that main character girl, I think her name is Carrie, there's no way she can afford that apartment as a writer for a like no fucking way, right? It was just like, we know what it is now that I'm just getting this epiphany just now at this moment, is we as humans, we make decisions based on associations, right? So it's like, wow, that lifestyle, I want that. So I need to be that. I need to look like that, act like that, talk like that, do everything like that, right? And so back then, before new media, or you know what I call media today, user-generated content, before it was program media, they created all of these personas and programs, and then women, because I don't know if you know this, it's an interesting book I'm reading, but women were the largest population of readers of books before TV came. I think like 70%, like something crazy, like fiction, not like women love reading, right? And then when TV came, it dropped like that. Soap operas, all this shit, right?
Yeah.
Literally they're all programming you. Wow. And so like a lot of these programs where you know, a lot of it is manipulation, I would say. Not all, because they're great stories and stuff, but yes, it is. Like, it's trying to push a certain agenda, like after the sexual revolution, like let's free more women to like do this and do that. But I don't know, most people don't realize this, but before the sexual revolution and all of that, women didn't have to pay taxes. You know, like it's crazy. Like, and then it's like, okay, how do we get more women to pay taxes? Oh, we need them to work. Okay, let's all right, we're gonna do this thing called the free what is it called, like where they basically hired a bunch of these models to go to the New York parade to smoke a bunch of cigarettes.
Oh god.
To promote them to smoke cigarettes. Yeah. So that's like one thing that happened, but there are so many other things that happened after that, where it's like, we need to tax women, so we need to get them to work and all of that stuff. And I'm all for liberating women, I'm all for getting women to work, but it's like, we should know this history though. Like, we should know that we didn't pay taxes back then because women were protected in that way, and now we do. And it's like, now this day and age, if you have a kid and you're married, both partners have to work. But back then, just one partner had to work, and that was enough to feed the whole household. So it's like, this is so important for women to understand. The women just need to be aware of this. That's all I'm trying to say. It's like, if you want to live your Sex and the City life, go for it. Like, fuck yes, you know? If you want to like live your life like an influencer, because I feel like influencers are the new Sex and the City. They are the ones who are showing this new lifestyle, and people want to subscribe to it. I think it's totally fine to choose it, but just be aware that that's not all it, you know? Like, a lot of this is marketing. Like, I know so many creators and influencers, they don't live a life like that. You go to their room, they show you like a nice part of the room that's clean, the rest is fucking filthy, dude. It's gross. It's like super gross. Bathroom is disgusting, underwear's everywhere. It's like, this is disgusting, you know? But they don't show that. And it's like, I'm not saying they should show it, but it's like, but it's interesting, because I know a few creators who do show that though. They're like, yo, I show a nice part of my room, but look at this is the reality of it.
Totally.
So we're all just like trying to, you know, a lot of this is really just like what I'm understanding what all of this is, because I was mentioning how last year I did the meditation retreat, but then after that I decided, like, you know what, I'm gonna red pill hard. I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna do ayahuasca. I'm gonna do fucking everything, because why not?
Did you do ayahuasca?
I did everything.
Damn.
I did everything.
Damn.
And so I red pilled hard, you know, and there was even a crazy Bitcoin download I got. I'm like, fuck, this shit makes sense now. Like, I get it. I get where we're going, right? But pulling back to this whole experience, a lot of like what we're seeing and what we're experiencing is really just, you know, we come into this lifetime as a soul in this human vessel to experience this dimension. I believe life on Earth is basically a school. It's not a courtroom. You know, we tend to think it's a courtroom. Like, when you make a mistake, you're gonna go to hell. Like, I was watching this video. It's Dolores Cannon, and she's done thousands of past life regressions with thousands of people who have no connection to each other, and she's walked them through the death experience. So literally, because a lot of them want to know, like, hey, why do I have this phobia of childbirth? And when she walks them through a past life, they died of they died of childbirth, and they literally live the entire moment, and they literally go through the death process and what happens when they go to the light. It's interesting. I'll send you the video to watch, because it's really fascinating. But what I got out of it was basically this Earth realm. It is a video game. It is, I wouldn't say a simulation, because it's very real, but it is a school. We're here to learn about emotions and limitations, because at the core of us, our energy, our soul is also a vessel. So our body's a vessel, our soul's a vessel, but within the soul, there's energy. We're a piece of infinity, if that makes sense. We're a drop in the ocean. We are the ocean, but we're also the drop in it, right? And so going to the ocean, going to source, the nameless, right? That's eternal. It never dies. So in a way, we never die, but our vessel dies, right? Our body dies, our soul eventually dies, but the energy in itself doesn't die. So that's why I had this crazy like Bitcoin correlation during like my ayahuasca. I'm like, shit, energy. Like, oh my gosh.
The energy
like,
doesn't die, and that's
the energy never dies. Yeah. So I went through a really metaphysical, it doesn't make sense. Human words can't explain what I experienced, but it all made sense at the same time. But going back to this whole experience, we're here to just learn about ourselves. We're here to get as much data and bring it back to source so it continues expanding, to create more life, to expand consciousness. I mean, this is just my own personal belief system, of course, right?
Yeah. And
this was what I saw on my journey. And also a lot of people who went on this journey have seen and experienced the same thing as me. But basically, like, all of this that we're seeing, like the ego, people who are influencers and like creating these characters and all of that, it's really just projection of ego. And we're just here to learn from it. And when we're triggered by something, so when you see someone and they trigger you, instead of like, I need to be in my safe space, don't trigger me, it's like, no, you should find out why that's triggering you. Because if you find out why, you're actually going to learn so much more about yourself. You're going to find the source of it, and you're going to, if you really work at it, you might actually overcome it, and something will heal within that. So it's really powerful, like what we're seeing, what we're experiencing. So I'm hoping, like, I know a lot of people have dystopian predictions of like AI and like it's gonna be like Terminator, we're all gonna die.
What do you think of that? What do you think?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Have you messed with ChatGPT at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. I love it. I do not think that's gonna happen. This is what I think. This is just my own theory, what might happen. So AI is going to replace a lot of stuff. It's going to help assist a lot of the things we do. So because it's going to take over a lot of jobs, a lot of people think, well, what are we going to do as humans? Like, you really think we were born to literally just work? Like, hello, like we're here to live, experience, make art, like just be, you know, like we're not just defined by the system of I need to be productive. And then after that, I retire and I die. It's like, no, that's not the human experience. I truly do not believe that. I don't subscribe to that. I believe what might potentially could happen, and I hope this could happen, is AI takes over a lot of the menial stuff that we don't want to do, right? The repetitive stuff. It assists us. Because if you think about pilots, 90% of the stuff is done with the computer.
Totally,
They're just there, you know, like I wouldn't want to be on a plane without knowing there's pilots there, right? So I like knowing there's going to be a human there. So I see a human machine collaboration in the future where the machine will save us a lot of time. So now that we have a lot of time, we have time to reflect. We have time to meditate. We have time to do things we enjoy. Maybe we have time to take psychedelics and then have red pill ourselves, right? And then we become conscious, right? I don't know. Like, we will have more time, but we need money that can incentivize that. So I believe because we will have more time, we need a new money that works with this new lifestyle, because I just don't see like crazy salaries like before. I see micro payments, micro salaries, micro transactions, you know? We should talk to Michael Saylor about this. I'm like, micro strategy, I get it. I get why it's called micro strategy. Everything's micro.
It's all coming together.
It's all coming together. But I just see like the future is going to be like micro payments. That's the future. That's how you're going to make money. And I see, hopefully once Bitcoin becomes the standard money, we don't have to worry about like, fuck, my coffee costs $8 a day, but then like next year it's like $20. Like, we don't have to worry about that because it's going to stabilize. And people will have more time, and AI will assist us. And I just hope that this will bring a new renaissance that we need. We really need a new renaissance. We need a renaissance of consciousness. We need, because mental health crisis is at all-time high. And I believe the reason why, it's because we're constantly comparing ourselves to so many people. We're so miserable. And like I said, we're operating out of fear, out of scarcity mindset. And so people are literally fight or flight all the time. And so we're not able to bring in elements of bliss, of joy, you know, like we're just operating out of like literally like fight or flight. Like
it is scarcity. It's fear. It's anxiety.
It's a lot of fear.
And I hope this new wave is this like discovery, this purpose. I don't know if there's behavioral things with generations. You know, my parents' generation is, they might be Gen X or they might be the one above that, but they don't have that. I don't know. Maybe it's just how my parents grew up. I grew up kind of, you know, like lower middle class and pretty Catholic and strict. But like, I don't know if that full fulfillment journey was of interest to them. I'm excited to see where our generation goes and what Gen Z does, because I feel like we're a lot different. And not in a dark way. Elon literally said this, and I'm not trying to like, but he was like, society progresses as people pass on in this next life, because you need to usher in this new wave of people to be like
100%.
Kind of innovating. And I don't know if millennials have fully embraced this moment
how can
of like,
we?
What are we, you know?
How can we, like, who's at the head of everything? There are all these older people. No offense.
No, totally,
you know?
dude.
But
it's
like,
crazy.
you know, I always tell people George Washington was a millennial. He was 33 when he was president. You know, when he did all of the cool shit and he was elected. He was 30. He was a millennial. Yeah. And look at the El Salvador president, millennial.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, millennials are also, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think the statistic has shown that we are the largest population on the planet, age group wise. Mm-hmm. It's like we need to like
Yeah.
I don't know, like, you know what I'm saying, right? I'm not trying to, like, I
Yeah.
don't want to start a revolution here. I'm not trying to start a revolution, but that's what I love about Bitcoin is it is the most peaceful revolution you can subscribe to, because it's like, I can't go against the US Army. I would, like, I play GTA, and when I'm doing all crazy shit, the helicopters come, I'm like, that's it in real life. Shit's gonna happen like that.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do? But then it's like, no, there is something that, and that's why I think Bitcoin is so brilliant, because it's the most peaceful way to unsubscribe to the system. And also the system will be like, yo, actually, this is a better system. Maybe we should subscribe to this too.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a matter of time. And I think it's a lot of, like I said, cognitive dissonance. I think a lot of people are just in their own world. They just know what they know. And I really, truly believe adoption will come, unfortunately, when money changes. Like something like a Great Depression would push people to finally be like, damn, like we need a better money. That's what I think. I think the moment it hurts your wallet is when you actually care.
It's true. I mean, only pain really changes people's that are like stuck in their way. Think of the pandemic. Like everyone was kind of going in their path, and then finally they had this moment of like, oh, maybe I don't like my job. Maybe I do want to move. Maybe I do want to get married. So I definitely see that happening. Before we wrap, I want to get just, you know, your predictions into 2023, since we're starting off the year, of what you think trends. I mean, can be financial related, but it also can be like beauty, anything that you're excited about in 2023.
Ooh, this is fun. I think more people are going to explore consciousness more. So I think I was reading somewhere that California might legalize psychedelics, mushrooms, which is great.
Yep.
So I could just see more people just becoming more creative, maybe because of that, but also because of like what we're seeing with Midjourney, the generative art AI. People who could never draw now, they can literally type in a few words and there's an amazing art. And I'm not saying they're an artist. That's not what I'm saying at all, because it's not. Like, I went to art school. I know the work it takes to make beautiful art. But it's not even about that. It's just some people want to be able to create and express themselves. And this is a new form of expression, I think, of storytelling, of art making, of image making. So I foresee a lot of people getting more in touch with their creativity this year. I also see Bitcoin making another bull run. I predict a new all-time high. I predict a new all-time high. I do. I don't know when, but I have a feeling this year, because so many people are so like, no, like we're gonna have like another 2-3 year cycle. It's like, really, I don't know. It's just intuition though. Like, I have no data to back this up. I just feel like we're gonna hit another all-time high.
Yes.
And that's wonderful, because I know that'll be great for a lot of people who've been holding for so long, and this will be nice for them to, you know, like take some of their winnings, because it's been really tough. It's been so tough for everyone in this space, and especially hodlers, you know, so tough.
Yeah.
And what else do I predict? I would personally enjoy, but this is just a dream. I would love for aliens to finally like make contact with us. That would be great.
Yes.
Like, please.
Yes.
Please.
Maybe they're already here.
I think they just don't care about us. I really think they see us as ants. They're like, whatever.
Dude, these people are stupid. They can't get it together.
They're just But I have a feeling they like our art. They might like our music and art. And that's why I'm like, as humans, like, we should make art. Like, let's make more art.
Yes.
Let's make more art. Let's make more love. Like, bring love to this world. We really need that. We really do. Like, holy crap, we really do. We need a second coming. We need a second coming of Jesus Christ to come back. Like, that'd be great.
And fast.
Like, just please.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go out. I'm ready
for the rapture. Bring me on the UFO.
Yes.
Bring me on the mothership. I'm so ready.
Let's go. Oh my gosh, Michelle, this has been so awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Aubservation. We'll have to do next time I'm in LA or you're in New York. We'll have to do another one of just predictions and whatever, and just catch up again. So this is awesome. Fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yes, like and subscribe.
And like and share, and we appreciate you always.
We appreciate you. We'll be back next time. Good luck and Godspeed.